Hey everyone, I hope that you see this okay. Um, I've got another one that I wanted to give today that I hope I can get out without having to do a whole bunch of options so you can actually hear what I'm trying to say. Um, I have a question for you, and the answer I have is very, very different than what I think most of you are going to come up with. And I hope you won't go, oh my God, but you'll actually listen to why I say what I say. And the question is this: when you think about things in your life, um, really anything, but I'm particularly thinking about the good things you've done. Maybe you've graduated from good schools, or you've made good money, or you've had, you've been a great parent, or whatever it is you've done. Um, what would you like to be remembered for? What would you like to be remembered for? And the reason I ask that is that I just gave my last video where I talked about how important it was for me to realize at some point in my life that how I'm showing up, if I'm pretty, if I'm thin, all that kind of stuff, we can spend so much time on that. And really, that's not what everybody's saying when you die. Like, wow, she was a size 4 and I was a 6, None of that. It's, people remember other things. And so I'm asking you to think about, what is it that you are proud of? And then the question is, who's responsible for that? And you're probably saying myself. I mean, for the most part, or maybe you'll say, yeah, I had some help, my dad gave me a job, and so I knew how to do this work, and that's why I did so well. But what I'm saying is, nothing is your work. And what I mean by that is not that you haven't worked hard, or nothing like that. But my question is this: how did you learn to work on something that's done well? When you say, oh yeah, I had to go to school and I had to get a high level job, let's say you're a doctor, I had to be able to get a doctor's degree, and then I had to work my tail off, and I've been working my tail off for years. Okay, my question is, how did you get that brain? Many brains will never be that good. I mean, you really have to have a brain that remembers and all this kind of stuff. So how did you get that brain? What did you do to get that brain? You might say, well, I worked my tail off. But not everybody can work. It doesn't matter how hard you work. Some people will work their tails off and they just will never get as well, as good as you did. So explain that one, And then you say, well, I worked my tail off. Well, how could you work your tail off? There are probably several things. One of them is that you're healthy enough to work that hard and to go to school that long, work your tail off at that degree. So I can give lots and lots of examples, but what I'm saying is that even, I am going to give one more, and here's one more example. You can say, oh, well, I did well financially because I worked my tail off, and I never had that growing up. Like, my parents did not teach me that, because my parents were bad people and they were in jail, or they were, drug addicts, or whatever, you've been through. I've been through all kinds because I've spent a lot of work in prisons too. And my answer to that is, well, something in there you saw and you said, that's not what I want. I'm going after something different. Or that's not what I want. I have to get help, or whatever it is. How did you hear that? How did you get that? Like, how did you find out that what's happening? Let's say your parents are on drugs and, a lot of problems are happening and your neighborhood's scary and that kind of thing. If that were going on, then you figured out somehow, maybe it was on TV, maybe it was another child who was older than you that said, I'm getting out of here, man. My parents are scary and they're, we're going to get killed. Or, somehow you heard that this is scary. So you said, I'm getting out. And maybe that's what you did. Maybe you walked right out and somehow made it into a different part of the world than your parents did. Why is that? And why are they doing all that? Having worked in prison, I can tell you that the vast majority of people, the vast majority that are stuck on drugs, are usually people who are desperately trying to feel better because their life has been so difficult that they're just desperately trying to feel okay. So, when I was a kid, I used to hear about people who were doing drugs, and I was like, how can you do that? Well, I had parents who said, don't do that. It's really, really bad for you, and it can really cause you a lot of problems. And I had parents who loved me. And every night when I went to bed, my parents would, bring me in a little water, and my mom would usually sing some French song when I was going to bed. I mean, how lucky was I? That's incredibly lucky. So, all these things that we are born into, all the things that we do that we might even think, well, I chose to do that. I chose to work my tail off. And, how could I have done that if it weren't me? And I say, well, you heard it somewhere. You had the ability to do it. You had a brain that was allowing you to do that. Whatever it is, I'm not saying it's not you at all. Like, you're in no way affected, but in some ways you kind of aren't, if that makes any sense. And I know this sounds crazy, but the idea is simply being that we all go through different parts of life based on what we got brought into, who our parents are, who our family is, where we live, all kinds of stuff. And it's not like everything that happens is going to be because of what you went through, as far as, well, everything bad happened because of this family, or everything good happened because of this family. Things can happen very differently. Like I said, you could be in a really bad family that's getting in a lot of trouble and say, I'm not doing that. But again, somewhere you got the idea. That could be TV or something. So I just constantly look at my life and I just think, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for teaching me this. Thank you for giving me these parents. Thank God for those parents and my sister. Thank you for a healthy family who brought us up in a healthy neighborhood. It wasn't a fancy one, but it was ones that we never had to worry about being out late at night or being out in the dark, running around, all kinds of stuff that the kids like to do. I was very, very lucky. And when I look at everything, I can always answer by saying, well, Sarah, what did you do? Well, I did this. I always say, well, wait, I did that because I was given a good brain, or I was given that because my body can run fast, or, I had loving parents, or whatever else. It's always something else that gets me where I am. And even if I say, well, I worked so hard, the only reason you can work hard is if you're given a good body or a good brain that allows you to work hard. So even that, you can try and point it to yourself and say, that's mine. And my question is it 100% yours? Because I say the answer is always no, which has turned me into one of those people which I was always quite interested in, but didn't understand how they got there. And now I do. And it's that position of, I am so grateful. I am so lucky. Thank you. Whatever you believe in, God, Jesus, anything, I don't care. Neither, none of the above. I just say thank you. Whoever you believe in, thank you. Thank you for this life. I'm living a great life. I'm so lucky. And so I just wanted to give you that as a question to think about, because I think if you really sat and thought through that a lot, what am I in charge of? What have I done here? Which part is mine and which part isn't mine? If you come to the same place where you're kind of like, I don't think any of it's mine. Especially if you end up in a lucky place like I have, where yes, I've worked hard and yes, I've done things, but I've been, brought into a family where I could do all that, and I had a body that allowed me to do all that. I am just so lucky. And so now I just go through my days just like, oh man, I'm lucky. I'm driving home and going, wow, look at this neighborhood. I love it. I'm so lucky. I see nice neighbors, not neighbors that I'm scared are going to shoot me, And I think, oh God, these neighbors, I'm so lucky. And my husband hears me come in and he comes out, can I help you with the bag? And he gives me a kiss. And I'm thinking, I am so lucky. I'm so lucky. So that's how I suggest that you think things through. It could be several days or weeks or months of thinking. It could be a deep one, or it might not. But if you get to the same place that I've got, I think you're going to find it really, really hard to be unhappy most all the time. It would be very rare, but it can happen, but it won't happen over much. I'll tell you that, because you'll be grateful for whatever shows up for the most part. Anyway, I love you all.